2020 of the Mobile County Commission to order, and we have just a few things on the agenda here, so it shouldn't take us very long. First of all, I want to point out Commissioner Hudson is not with us today. She's been on the phone communicating with the staff all weekend, so the staff has a good idea of where her thoughts are. She is actually, I think it's her 40th wedding anniversary they're celebrating. It's been planned for quite a while, so we're going to have to go without her. With that said, Glenn, would you like to get started?
Yes, sir. Number one, discuss the coronavirus pandemic, which may pose a hazard to the safety and welfare of the general public.
So moved.
This is
Well, we're going to talk about
item.
it. Sorry about that.
That's just if there's any discussion before the commission considers adopting a local state of emergency.
I know the media is going to have a lot of questions. Do we have copies for them when we leave here?
We have disseminated a draft of the declaration declaring a state of local emergency.
Okay, so somehow or another, I'm just seeing it. I'm not sure how that is. I have the copy of the policy, but the resolution, I need to take a minute to look at it.
Okay. While she's doing that, I'll go ahead. We met this morning, the staff and myself. We put ideas together. We're trying to figure out how we can least impact our staff and try to encourage our staff to be very cautious of dealing with the public, and therefore we're saving the public. We've got some things that we're going to be looking at actually closing and some redirection of some jobs temporarily. People keep asking me, how long will this be? We have no idea. Bottom line, we're trying to starve this virus out. You quit giving it places to grow and multiply, and sooner or later it will kill itself out, and that's our motivation. But nothing here is going to stay solid. It will be fluid. We will change and move things as we feel like we need to. Especially dealing with some of the parks and some of our kids. Anything that comes up, positive or negative, you'll see us make some moves pretty quick. We're all here on a daily basis, obviously, and we're here for our staff, and our staff has all of our personal numbers, and they call us at will. You have any questions on the resolution?
No.
Okay. Does staff have anything they want to add on this resolution?
Well, we have the declaration of the state of a local emergency first, and then we have the resolution behind that. So the first action item for the commission to consider is, will this commission want to consider declaring a state of local emergency? I don't want to speak for the county administrator, but I think it's the staff's recommendation in consultation with other governmental entities and state officials that the county can consider the declaration of state of a local emergency, followed by the resolution. The resolution talks about the authority for doing that and talks about closing or limiting public access to public buildings and facilities owned or leased and under control of the Mobile County Commission, but does not exercise authority over commercial business leases. We do exercise some commercial businesses in some of our properties, such as Family Dollar, such as Chicken Salad Chick. The License and Revenue Commissioner's office are here. They are generally talking before the meeting about how they would limit public access. But this would limit or close public access depending on how things work out. And the second part of that resolution deals with something our HR department has been working on with Donna Jones and Tim Smith, and I know there's been consultation with Scott Hittrick in my office, reference the infectious disease pandemic policy, which we incorporated by reference as an exhibit. If Donna Jones would like to comment on that, just so y'all hear what she says in more detail than I can do, that would be helpful. And then the commission is certainly welcome to to question anything that feels appropriate.
Well, I think the main thing I would like to say is that it's probably going to be changed because there's, every time I look at my email, there's new information coming across and new, some new proposed legislation that would affect some of the leave time. So that's the main thing. But I tried to, or Tim and I tried to write this so that it would, address the situations that we could think of that might come up, during this period of time when we're trying to be careful and do the right thing with our employees and with the county.
So I had most of my comments on the policy editorial. There were two substantive matters that I wanted to raise. In the purpose paragraph, we refer to those we serve as our customers, and I don't know how anybody else feels.
Constituents might be a better term.
Huh?
Constituents would.
Constituents, residents, whatever. I just kind of reacted
Okay.
to customers.
Happy to make that change. I understand where it is.
Yes.
And-
And we tried to catch those kind of things. Of course, we were working from some sample ones that we had received, so some of the language, we tried to copy that. So, yeah, we'll change that.
Okay, and the other one that was substantive, I'll give you the one that I marked up with my little red pen. Under infection control measures, 1, 2, third paragraph down, where we talk about an infected employee who comes and that we're going to place them on these various kinds of leave. I think that we should probably add as appropriate.
And I'm sorry, now where would you add that?
Infection control measures.
Page 2.
Paragraph 3.
Okay. If any infected employee comes to work, that paragraph?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
To just add, instead of a period of comma, as appropriate.
Okay.
I know we have several other elected officials here. Would y'all, Judge Davis, would you like to give us any input? Is there anything that you feel like we can do as county commission to help you? Commissioner Matranga? Kim, is there anything that y'all feel like you need to address? Hold on a second.
Commissioner, in terms of the policy or just in general?
In general, or you want either now or later?
Well, in general, we're obviously the highest number of foot traffic going in on a daily basis like that. We have taken some precautionary measures already. We've reduced the amount of people coming into the lobby to about 25 in each one of our sites. At present, we look forward to, perhaps if we shut everything down, we'll have people come to work, but we can do a lot online. An enormous amount can be done that way and not risk our clerks there and pass it along and, like you said, starving the virus. So we're prepared to do that. Mr. Barnett, the Commissioner of Revenue, has decided, probably will make a decision on penalties and things like that, extending the amount of time for our tags to get them without being penalized. We're waiting for that word right now. So, but we want to work together as a team, not to confuse the public to where who's open and who's not open and things like that. Let's just say this: we may be close to the public, but we could still operate and continue with some of the easier transactions and things like that.
I just think my concern is the daycare thing. When they closed the schools, that's been until up to that point, I thought we could manage. And what I mean by manage is, let people that are elderly or sicker or that kind of thing go out but still work and maybe limit the public. But once they closed the school system down for 2.5 weeks, 60% of my office have kids. And so how do you manage that, with them going out to keep their kids? So, the thing with us is a lot of the things we do is, you can do pretty much everything online, even with him and myself as well. And then I feel very sure from what we've talked about with the state, we think that they're going to extend the timeout. So even if there was some situation that you needed to assess your property or you needed to pay something or whatever that day is, we all come back to work, they're going to extend that time out for them without penalties. So I think we could easily close down and still accommodate the taxpayers and, and keep them safe and then keep our employees safe too. But the biggest concern for me personally is that 60% of my office has to be off for 2.5 weeks with their kids. So
Well, our whole focus this morning in that meeting was to get as much online as we possibly could, to direct people to get online. And what the policies we're getting ready to vote on here as far as that statement of time off, time out, sick time, so on and so forth, that's going to affect y'all directly. That's why I wanted y'all to give me some input and have some input into it.
That's what I'm trying to understand, because, you know, we have a lot of employees that live paycheck to paycheck.
You know, I
Have to, but that would be the preference.
yeah, I understand that. I don't know that taxpayers want to do that, but we'll consider that. But we'll figure it out. We will
Right,
figure it
but
out.
you know, the taxpayers already in Baldwin County, they already know, they're closed. So
Are they closed completely, or they've got a skeleton staff?
my understanding was they closed.
I thought they closed to the public, but they're still working.
But
Yeah.
they're still- Okay, maybe so.
Yeah, that's
They're
basically
still
what we're
working,
doing.
yeah.
And they're still having court hearings.
Huh?
They're still having emergency court hearings.
Still having emergency?
Yeah.
Like you are?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, they're still having emergency court hearings in Baldwin County?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. We can't shut everything down. We shut government down, the business community would just be a horrible rippling effect. So we got to be very careful on that. We've got to keep things moving where we can. Yes, sir.
Commissioner, you just touched on the probate court's operations are a little bit different from those of the licensed commissioner and the revenue commissioner. And there's several aspects to our operation. First of all, the judicial aspects of it. We are to remain open, and we are open, but we're addressing emergency matters and matters that deal with liberty deprivation issues such as mental health commitments and emergency, what we call protective proceedings, such as an emergency guardianship or emergency conservatorship. Those are the only matters that we're addressing right now. And we've already taken measures, and we're in close consultation with Sheriff Cochran and his office and Alta Point Health Systems relative to the mental health matters and how we're going to transport and conduct hearings and whatnot. The other aspect, our court is, as one of my predecessors used to say, is the court of commerce, where all your deeds, mortgages, and financial transactions of import are recorded, and our recording division is open. The good news is we're able to receive documents electronically. We're one of the few probate courts in Alabama that has that capability. For that matter, also our judicial operation, we can receive pleadings electronically. We're like the one of very few that are able to do that. So we're able to operate in that sense electronically, and citizens can transact business with us. We're going to have measures in place to try to limit our staff's contact with individuals that may come into the court to file documents. The third aspect of the court's operation is, as I know you're keenly aware, the judge of probate is the chief election officer of the county and the administrative officer in general over elections. And we have a primary runoff election scheduled for March the 31st at this time. It's my understanding, I've read in the media and I've received emails from Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill that he's requested an Attorney General's opinion relative to whether the election can be delayed by the governor and rescheduled to a later date. And I'm hopeful that we'll get an answer on that very quickly. The difficulty that we have, practical difficulty we have, is that there's such a short time window between the primary and the runoff. We only have like 2 weeks now, and there is a ton of work that has to be done for us to prepare for our runoff election if we're going to have one. And until we get the word, we can't really stop the preparation effort. The challenges that we have in terms of, from an election perspective, the two primary ones is that I've already received notice that the Mobile Museum of Art has declared that it's closed, and that's one of our polling locations. And I have requested that all of our polling locations be contacted as quickly as possible to ascertain their availability of their facilities on March the 31st, should we have a primary runoff election. The second matter that we're dealing with, and it's really hard for us to put a finger on at this point in time, is that the bulk of our poll workers, the vast majority of them, are 60 years and beyond. over. And I would say, venture to say that probably 75%, if not more, of our poll worker crew is in that age category. And so we've received some calls from poll workers expressing concern and wanting to know whether or not they're going to be asked to serve or not, and we're just telling them to tread water right now until we can get a decision from Montgomery. So that's kind of where we are on the election front. Do either one of you have any questions?
Thank you, Judge. All right, Glenn?
Judge, are absentee ballot applications available yet?
The Secretary of State sent out a directive over the weekend for the absentee ballot manager to not process any absentee ballots for the time being.
In the closure of certain county facilities by direction of the President of Mobile County Commission or by adoption of a resolution or other instrument.
We have a draft resolution, hopefully it made it to your packet, that authorizes the closing or the reduction of, the words are, for the Mobile County Commission and the political subdivisions thereof to authorize the closure of all non-essential Mobile County Commission owned and leased or controlled facilities, except for commercial businesses.
Now, did you say that's in a separate resolution?
It's part of the second full paragraph, the first be it resolved toward the bottom.
That begins further.
Be it further resolved, it should be just be it resolved by the Mobile County Commission in emergency session, and it goes on and talks about the necessity of precautions and measures and preparations to be taken by the county commission related to the coronavirus pandemic does indeed present existing and increasing possibility of occurrence of a public health hazard or emergency of unprecedented size resulting from this natural disaster, and therefore to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the general public, preserve the lives of those citizens in public buildings, facilities owned or leased or under control by the Mobile County Commission. The Commission desires to authorize the closure of all non-essential Mobile County owned or leased or controlled facilities. We put as determined by the President of the Commission, but it could be as determined by the Mobile County Commission. We added with the exception of commercial business leases arising out of, if they're leasing space from us. Again, the Family Dollar, Chicken Salad Chick are just two that come to mind. So that authority can be given to the commission president, or it can be reserved to the full commission. We do have another meeting scheduled for this Thursday and the following Monday. Depending on things change, there's at least two more meetings, and it can always be another emergency meeting, as whatever the pleasure of the commission is.
Let me go back to the be it resolved. This says emergency special session? Is that right?
Well, we've called an emergency meeting, so that's how we came up with those words.
I mean, it says special, mine says special session. What I'm reading
Well,
from
I'm
says.
reading emergency special session assembled. So maybe you have a different one than I do. Been several-
Mine says emergency special session assembled,
Yeah,
as
it
opposed
should
to
be
emergency
emergency
meeting.
special session assembled. Just a wording that was suggested, but we
What
can
I'm- Jay,
change that.
is this a special session
Yes.
and not an emergency meeting? Does it,
So I would call it an emergency meeting of the county commission.
okay, it says special session.
I'll
That's
put
why I
emergency
was,
meeting. Yes,
that's
ma'am.
what I was reacting
Fair
to.
enough.
So I'm okay with moving to authorize the president to make those interim decisions. From here on out, things are changing too fast, I think, to try to wait on a Thursday meeting to give him that authority. So moved.
Second.
We'll see. Wait till Thursday. And may I, our county engineer has made a point. I'll just throw it out there. In the absence of the president of the commission, should we authorize the vice chair of the commission to make the decision? I don't know that that's necessary or not, but was brought to my attention by our county engineer.
I think in our standard rules,
It
it
defaults to that
says that,
anyway.
yeah.
Yep,
Because if
Okay.
he's not available to sign a warrant, I know that
correct.
the vice chair can, so.
Are you the vice chair?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, and that will pass. All in favor?
Number 4?
Sure.
Number 4, consider authorizing any other actions related to the coronavirus pandemic.
Did we vote on the previous resolution with the changes? I didn't hear that.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. I
Did.
apologize.
Well, I'm not sure what this means because I think the resolution we just adopted leaves it open to anything else that comes up.
It does.
So what's number 4 about?
We don't, that was just any other conversation, so we don't need number 4. It can be.
Okay.
Folks, we threw all this together in less than an hour and a half.
number
so-
5 is really not necessary either. The next meeting is Thursday, correct, Mr. Hodge?
That's correct, conference.
Look at something different.
4 and 5J? It's not needed? Is that what you're saying?
Well, number 5 on the agenda is really, 5 is not necessary, and 6, any comments, and our number 7 is appropriate for the March 23rd meeting.
Okay,
Now, you have a work session this Thursday.
That's correct.
so we're going to remove number 4 and number 5.
I would suggest that we do that, yes, sir.
Any objection, Commissioner?
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Glenn.
Number 6, commission announcements and/or comments.
Well, I'd just like to acknowledge and thank our staff for, I know the work that you've been doing all weekend. I know you've been doing it because I've been getting emails all times with lots of information, and I just appreciate the diligence with which you've approached this and your attempts to make sure that we have all the information we need to make the decisions we're going to have to make. So I appreciate it, and I know that means time away from your families and making sure that your house is properly stocked and all of that to do that for us, but appreciate the sacrifice.
Thank you.
And I agree with that also. I received the same emails, and I had some conversations with a couple of folks this weekend. Thank you for the work y'all did over the weekend. As we said in the meeting this morning, now the leadership will shine. Now we've got to do what we need to do with our staffs. We got to motivate them and encourage them. We're on an offensive move here, not a defensive move, and we've got to remember that. So we want to make sure our constituents are safe and our staff safe also.
So can I ask a question? Do you mind clarifying what you just voted on?
We basically, which one?
Well, of what you're going to do, the resolution? Because it said close non-essential offices. Does that mean when you decide that's due?
Yes, yes.
So not right now?
We have a list, that's what Jay was saying. We don't have the list up here, but we have a list of those offices. Correct, Jay?
Correct. I know the administration's working on that list on non-essential. That list, to my understanding, Commissioner Hasty, did not expressly relate to what to do with your office or Mr. Matranga's office, because we weren't sure this morning how that ought to be.
Okay, the pandemic policy addresses it to some degree. If you look at infection control measures, it speaks to attendance and leave policies for people who may have to do childcare and how that will be handled. That's in that policy. I'm not sure whether you've seen the draft,
We'll make sure you get it all.
but it is addressed here.
It was handed to us on the way down the elevator, too, so we've been sitting up here skirting through it. All right? Anything else? Anybody, any comments? No comments? Glenn?
Okay, Commissioner, on number 7, we're going to change that date from the 23rd to the 19th. So it'll read, approved request for the motion to adjourn until March 19th, 2020.
Why are you doing that? Because that's not a meeting. The conference, when we do these,
Okay.
it's just meetings.
I mean, if action need be taken at the 19th meeting, we'll have that opportunity to do that then.
Commissioners, anticipate having an item on the Thursday agenda that I will need you to vote on, if
Well,
that's okay.
We vote on things on our Thursday agenda all the time, when it's time sensitive.
Okay, I'll reread. Number 7, approve request for motion to adjourn until March 23rd, 2020.
So moved.
Second. We are adjourned. Thank you, folks.
We're in the same boat.